Hi, it's Sandra,
Hi, it's Peter.
and we're medievalist.net, and today we're going to do a review of Game of Thrones, the new HBO series coming out April 17th.
It was just on, so we have seen it a few days just before you guys have, but
We had the fantastic opportunity to see a sneak peek of it. We were invited by HBO Canada, thank you so much, Nicole, to preview the first two episodes of Game of Thrones.
yeah, and so we come here today, and it's just now aired on HBO in the States and in Canada. So here is
Airing
our
on Sunday.
and here is our review of it. So
Okay,
first,
so first off, I'm going to say that there's sort of two different reviews here, because I will admit that I'm a fan of the series of the Martin books, so I'm coming at it from the perspective of someone who's read the books before and loves the series, so I'm a little more optimistic and biased in that
yeah.
sense. Whereas Peter's never, read anything by Martin, and is coming at it from a
Yeah.
totally brand new, shiny
Yeah,
perspective.
this first time I've seen it, and it's all kind of new for me.
So, okay, I'll let you. Do you want me to?
Well, let's start. Maybe you can tell us. Let's give a kind of outline of what happened in this first episode.
So, without getting too spoilery, because I really don't want to ruin it for people who are like Peter and who haven't seen or read the books. Basically, it's a medieval fantasy genre, but not so, Merlin-esque with magics and fantastical things. It's almost more aligned with like a historical fiction type, with very little magic and that type of thing. It's very raw, it's very gritty, it's gory, it's sexually explicit, like the books, which is fantastic, because of what I wanted to say was when Martin jumped on the fantasy scene back in '96, he completely turned that genre on its head. There was a bunch of cheesy garbage hack and slash by the truckload, PG-esque type of tripe that was being pushed as fantasy. And out comes Martin with this series, A Song of Ice and Fire, and it just blew people out of the water. It was coarse, it was vulgar, there was swearing, sex, rape, pillage, all the stuff that's just kind of dumbed down and Disneyfied or whatever in most fantasy novels. He just put it all out there, and so I'm absolutely thrilled that someone like a channel like HBO is doing this, because it's going to be, like True Blood. It's not going to be like the PG-CW type version shows, or the shows that you get on, major networks where
They can do a lot more.
they can do a lot more. They can be more true to the idea of Martin's novels. So I'm absolutely thrilled that HBO is doing it, and able to take the risks and go there.
Yeah, you kind of see it right off the first scene where it's going on. They're in this kind of northern woods. It's a lot of snow, and it seems to be like almost a tundra type place. And you get these
Whites.
Yeah,
The others. Peter's talking about the others. They come in. The opening scene is exactly like the opening scene of Game of Thrones, the book, which I have right here. I'm still chugging through it a second time for all of you. I have so much to do, it's insane. But so yes, so it's very. The opening is very true. It's following the storyline of the book quite closely, and
you see a couple guys get like their heads taken off, basically.
Right. This isn't something you want to watch with your 10-year-old in the room. And also, there's a couple things we can't mention. Those two things we won't talk about.
Okay.
There are a couple things
There are a couple of good spoilers in it.
Right.
So if you haven't seen it,
if you've read the books, you'll know where we're going with this. But basically, Sean Bean is doing an amazing job playing Ned Stark.
Yeah.
I'm really impressed with the cast. They're not a whole bunch. It's most of the actors I'm not that familiar with. I'm familiar with Lena Headey, who was the queen in 300, Leonidas's wife. She's doing a role as Cersei or Cersei, depends how you want to say that. Lannister in Game of Thrones, and also I think you mentioned you recognized Peter Dinklage. They plays the imp Tyrion. Peter recognized him. I didn't.
There's a character that's a dwarf.
Tyrion.
Tyrion. And I believe he's a kind of famous. He gets a lot of these kind of roles because he's very small in stature, and I believe he was in Bruges, so he was one of the characters there. So.
He's one of my favorite characters. I love how they're portraying him. I think they couldn't have had someone better do a better Tyrion. I also really, like I said, love Sean Bean's role. Kit Harington, I believe is his name. He's playing Jon Snow. Amazing job. Kudos to him. The Stark children, I have to say, for actors so young, they're doing a phenomenal job. And I absolutely, I hate Joff with a passion. Like, who doesn't hate Joff?
Joff is
Joffrey Lannister. But you got to be careful what you say.
Okay. Anyways, let's kind of go through what happens in this first.
Joff is absolutely hateful, and he's played so well. I'm just impressed.
Let's give it all right for the people you've seen it so far. Like, what's happened is we've kind of got an introduction to this the Stark family that are living in a place called Winterfell, which seems to be
in the north of the Seven Kingdoms
of this territory. They seem to have Ned Stark seems to be the kind of the lord of this area.
He's the Lord of the North. And he's also friends with the King Robert Baratheon. Sorry if I mispronounced that. And
the king comes.
The king comes to the north because Aaron, I forget his first name, dies, and he's the hand of the king. And the king rides north and offers Ned the post. They go a long way back.
Prime Minister post, and Ned has been this.
It's not a prime minister.
Well,
post.
They kind of like run his kingdom, as he says.
He's there to help him as his friend. They go back 20 some odd years. They've grown up together.
They fought wars.
Robert was at one point in love with and prepared to marry Ned's sister, who passed away. Anyhow, Ned's wife's not too thrilled, obviously. They have 5 children, plus Ned has a son, Jon Snow, who he had out of
wedlock.
Or not even that. He was campaigning and, had
He's
a bastard and brought home a bastard son named Jon Snow. And so he's being asked to leave them and go south and leave her behind. And there's some events that occur that increase the idea that she doesn't want him to head south, and there's some intrigue. And we're introduced to also the other characters, like the Lannisters from the south, Jaime Lannister, Cersei Lannister, King Robert, Joffrey, Tyrion, the Lannister household. We're also there's also a side storyline with Daenerys and Viserys. They're Targaryen.
They used to be the kings.
Who were usurped by Robert 17 years prior, and they're looking to cross the sea with a horde of what would be the equivalent of Mongols, I suppose.
Yeah, kind of like a barbarian horde.
Barbarian horde, or maybe more like Genghis Khan or something. Just the brutish, the Dothraki. They're awesome. They're like Klingons with tans and blue paint. Fantastic. I love it. And high foreheads, might I add.
So you get a lot of... There's
a lot of story, a lot of intrigue, it's a very intricate, complicated storyline with all these families and what have you.
Yeah, you get the sense that there's a struggle for the throne. that like the king is in a very kind of precarious situation. That's why he's calling on Ned's help
to help him keep the Iron Throne.
Yeah, and meanwhile you have looks like two different threats to his reign.
The children of the ousted king are coming back across the sea to try and take back the throne, and it's all culminating. It's all starting. So we see the wedding of Daenerys to Khal Drogo, the leader of the Dothraki, and the beginnings of the storyline, all these separate plots. And in the book, each chapter is outlined and told from a point of view from each different character. So the first two episodes were fantastic. The use of color is incredible. You know, the north is all like grim and dark and Pentos, and the south are warm and colorful, and the costumes and the detail are bar none, like incredible. The scale of detail.
Yeah,
you know,
I think they did a really good job, and like they can make a medieval look to this without being stereotyped.
They can take liberties.
They can't be. They're not pigeonholed into one period. This is not 15th century. This is not 13th. It's not 8th.
No, because it's not a historical novel.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it's a medievally themed fantasy genre, and they've kind of taken bits and pieces from everything, and it works. It really works, and I'm just thrilled about the look and the way it's done. I love the wall, the way they did the graphics for the Wall of the North with the watcher just blew me away.
The wall is this basically an ice mountain almost.
It's an icy wall that protects the north from, the wildlings and the others and whatever that live on the other side, the edge of the world. And basically the men who guard it are celibate and have no family and swear an oath. And if they break that oath, the punishment is death. And anyhow, that was incredible. It's just it's been done really well, and I won't lie, like going into this, I'm writing about this now. I won't lie, I went into it with a lot of trepidation, because when you love something so much, it was the same thing when Lord of the Rings came out like 10 years ago. I'm a huge Tolkien fan, and I was like, oh God, they're doing this, I'm gonna hide and cry and whatever. And I was really happy with what Peter Jackson did with Lord of the Rings. Even though there, he did a great job. Liberties were taken, but that always happens. Same thing here. Went into it with trepidation, going, "Oh God, they're going to botch Martin." But actually, they did an amazing job, and I'm thrilled. I'm really happy. HBO, kudos to you. Good job. And I'm looking forward to. I'm praying that the series does really well ratings wise, because I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. My take seems like this. I came into it with like really open mind. I didn't even know what to expect, since I hadn't read the books, and I really didn't know too much about what was going to happen. And I really enjoyed this first episode. I liked how they kind of centered on the Stark family, and you got to kind of know about their kids. And meanwhile, they're starting to introduce this kind of bigger plot into it. So it was a really good way to kind of set out what's going to happen. I really liked Sean Bean's performance. I thought he comes across as this really kind of noble guy, noble warrior type guy. He seems to be a little bit on the older side. He's like kind of a grizzled veteran type.
Yes, he fits Ned to a T. And, whatever people might say about Sean Bean being typecast, who cares? He's great. He does the role. He nails Ned Stark. And, now I couldn't fathom anyone else playing him. I think Sean did an amazing job, just bar none. So, great. And same thing with Tyrion. Like I said, Peter Dinklage, I believe, nailed Tyrion Lannister for me, having come from somebody who read the series. well done, really well done.
Exactly. There are these villains and these characters, like, you really see that these villains are villainous people, which is really funny. Like, there's just this great line where one of the Targaryens, he tells his sister, "Well, I'm gonna, I'll have not just
all
the
40,000 of
all
Drogo's men,
rape you. And
if that's what it takes, I'll let him and all 40,000 of his men and the horses rape you." And that's what the books are like. That's his sister. That's his sister, and then he kisses her on the forehead and it's like, all right, carry on.
Yeah.
And it's really dark, but it's really funny. And you're kind of like, nervous laughter there.
Yeah.
But that's how the books are. You're just kind of like, wow, that's hardcore.
So so I'm already taking sides here.
Oh, and also, like, I love the banter between Robert. I love Robert. Baratheon, the king.
Yeah.
The banter between him and Ned, like the camaraderie, the friendship there. Awesome lines back and forth. I really like that. That's
exactly.
It's great. So I'm enjoying it thoroughly. Please watch. It's fantastic. You won't regret it at all. So HBO, April 17th. Winter is coming.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's already happened, so this is...
no, 17th is Sunday.
Yes, but this is airing right after the episode airs, so...
Right, so...
Anyways,
it's fantastic.
Next week we will have, just after the second episode airs, we'll have a review of episode number 2, and we hope to keep going on that, so keep...
More in depth, I'll be able to... I don't want to spoil anything for anyone, so I'll be more like an in-depth recap of what happened.
So, anyways, thanks for watching. Hopefully our next review won't be as long, and we will catch you later on Medievalist.net.
Thank you.
Bye.